The world's first coronavirus treatment is being given to NHS patients after it was found to reduce COVID-19 deaths by up to a third for the sickest patients.
Well, during yesterday's briefing, Prime Minister Boris Johnson hailed the discovery as the biggest breakthrough yet in the fight against coronavirus.
I'm absolutely delighted that the biggest breakthrough yet has been made by a fantastic team of scientists right here in the UK. I am proud of these British scientists, backed by UK government funding, who have led the first robust clinical trial anywhere in the world to find a coronavirus treatment proven to reduce the risk of death. This drug, Dexamethasone, can now be made available across the NHS. And we've taken steps to ensure we have enough supplies even in the event of a second peak.
Amazing. Well, how incredible is it to have some good news for a change? The drug has already played a significant role in the recovery of our next guest, 69-year-old Peter Herring, who's joining us now, alongside Professor of Evidence-Based Medicine, Carl Heneghan. So welcome. Carl, let's start with you. These were big words yesterday. Genuine cause to celebrate a remarkable British scientific achievement. Chris Whitty said the most important trial result for COVID-19 so far. There's a caveat here because this is a very specific drug for a specific person suffering with COVID-19, isn't it? This is when you're very poorly.
Yeah, so it's specifically for two groups of people, those on critical care units and those who receive oxygen. Those people who went into hospital didn't receive them two interventions, didn't benefit. But it's important to remember, if you go on a critical care unit, the mortality is very high. Around about 40 per 100 people will die once admitted there. This drug, which is a commonly available drug, a cheap drug, gives you about a third reduction. So that takes it from about 40 per 100 down to around about 27 per 100. So that's a huge increase in lives saved. About every 100 people you give it, you get about 13 extra lives saved.
So it is hugely effective. How does it work? Why is it so effective?
Well, one of the things the problems is you get with COVID inflammation. Now, if you think about inflammation, most people will recognise that from a bee sting. You get this redness and the swelling. Well, that's there to protect you. But with COVID inside your lungs, that swelling has a problem. It stops you breathing. It stops oxygen getting into your lungs. By giving the steroid, it reduces the inflammation, dampens down your immune system, and lets your oxygen into your bloodstream so that actually you then can get better and fight the disease.
So it's the team at Oxford University that have been behind this, and I think sort of thank you on behalf of the nation here and anyone who's got into critical care and needs the help. This is a team that you are associated with very closely, heading it up, although not on this particular trial. How does it work then? I read the word randomised. So what is that?
Well, just to be clear, it's the team at the clinical trials unit who head this up. They have particular skills in doing large-scale trials. And the gold standard for decision-making is a randomised trial. So instead of giving the treatment to people who think, oh, I'll give it to the people who look a bit better and not give it to the people who are sicker, you actually randomise, in effect, flip a coin. It's a little bit more sophisticated than that with a computer system, but you flip a coin. Tails, you get the treatment, heads, you don't. And in doing that, you are then clear that the only difference between the two sets of people is the treatment itself. And in doing that, you're much clearer that the treatment works. And it doesn't work because for some instance, somebody's decided to give it somebody because they think they're better. And that actually, that's spurious in effect.
It's quite brutal though, isn't it? When you say it like that, and of course you have to test these things, and of course you have to know if they work, and of course you have to know if they're safe. But those sort of trials, the flip of a coin, who gets it, who doesn't, who lives, who dies.
Well, look, it's really important. We've had another drug, hydroxychloroquine, where we've had lots of observational studies and it's been shown to be harmful. We have to do trials in this way because if we don't do that, we'd be sat here now still not understanding if the treatment worked or not. And so we may be giving harmful treatments and withholding the beneficial treatments. And we have to do these trials in this robust way, and they take time. But that now means every single person admitted to a critical care unit will be given this drug now and in the future based on evidence. And that's really important. And the great thing is it's a generic drug, so it's cheap and we can make it available to everybody.
And it's already available. I mean, these are drugs that are already stocked in hospitals up around the country, not just in this country, but globally. Yeah,
it's a very commonly used treatment. We use it in asthma, allergies. In fact, we even use it in children in a condition called croup. The thing is, it's about £5 a dose, so it's about 10 days worth of treatment. You're talking somewhere up to about £50. The key is if you had a brand new drug, we'd be talking £5,000 or £10,000. And also there'd be problems scaling up production. The thing is we have enough supplies now for this outbreak and for next winter, which is highly reassuring.
And it's reassuring for us to know that this is all going on behind the scenes. And I assume that's not the only clinical trial that's going on. There are other things that the teams that you're associated with, other teams up and down the country and around the world are still working on.
Yeah, there are trials at diagnostics, understanding who's most affected, and then prevention and treatment trials. There are trials in primary care going on right now, looking at people who are a bit milder symptoms. Can you reduce their chances of being hospitalised in the first place? And then you've got the secondary care trials, the sicker patients. We've got this drug, but actually there are about another 3 drugs in trial right now. So what happens is you've got this first one, and now we're looking for the second one. We can get an added benefit beyond that. That then will say to you, actually, we've got an intervention, not 1, but 2 that can really save lives.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor. Let's speak to Peter Herring now, who benefited from this drug, owes his life to this drug, in fact. Were you worried, when people were talking about coronavirus at the early stages, were you worried that if you were to contract this, that it would have such an impact on you?
No, I don't think so, because I got it relatively early on, and really just pleased to be here now.
What were the symptoms? What was that day like?
It took a couple of weeks before being admitted to hospital. I had sort of flu-like symptoms, but without a temperature. I just carried on, and then on the 28th of April, my breathing got really very hard, and my partner Mandy said, I think we should phone 111, which we did, and credit to that service as well, because I think within 2 hours, you have to go through various stages, phone calls backwards and forwards, but within sort of 2.5 hours, the paramedics were here and I was on my way to Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge.
Well, things took a turn for the worse and things got very serious for you indeed. When did you become aware of this trial? Were you offered to take part in it? How did it work?
It was when I was in intensive care. I can't remember exactly when, but fairly soon, I was invited to join this trial. Would I be agreeable to it? Well, yes, because if anything helps, I had no hesitation in joining the trial. And you sign a consent form, and that's where it goes from there. And like the professor said, I didn't know whether I would get the treatment or not, but I was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, you were very lucky.
You were in intensive care for 6 days, prevented you from having to go onto a ventilator, and you believe that it did save your life?
Yes, yeah, because, I was going downhill, not knowing it, but just feeling really rough. And then I started sort of coming back. There was no magic switch. It was just a gradual coming back to what I consider normality.
Yeah, of course. And you've got nothing but praise, because you mentioned it for the 111 service there, but you really are glowing with praise for everyone.
Of course, and everybody says so. And quite rightly so, the attention the nurses gave me while in hospital, the doctors, you know, you can't, and they apologised for taking blood. You know, that was all to help.
Yeah. Well, look, we're so happy to see you doing so well now and looking so happy and
Indeed.
healthy. And thank you for
Yes.
joining us this morning as well. You take
You're
care of
very
yourself.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Peter.
you.
Thank you very much
Bye-bye.
indeed. And also thank you to Professor Carl Heneghan
Thank
as
you
well.
both.